Audio is being recorded right now. In the background, you can see it. All right, here we go. We're going to live this up in 3, 2, 1.
It's your boy Matt,
It's your boy Gio.
and we the dads of the day. Oh, woo!
Yo, this is going to be a dope
This is gonna
fire
be
episode
dope.
because it's the first time we're doing a trifecta up in this mug.
Yes, sir.
We got ourselves a special guest. Shout out to the boy Andrew Sierra, homie from a while back. We went to AI together. Andrew, introduce yourself, man.
Homie from
Bless,
the unknown.
man. Homie from the unknown. Nah, man. My name is Andrew Sierra, video director, producer, sometimes director of photography and camera operator, but amongst all things, always a hustler first, man.
Hey,
and a father.
Hustling.
and a father.
So it's dope to be on here with y'all boys. I seen y'all dropping a few gems, man. So I tapped in with Gio. I was like, man, you gotta get me on there because as dads we gotta stick together, man. So
Hey,
I
Always.
appreciate y'all having me here, man.
he hit me up. He said,
No
yo,
doubt.
let's get on this tonight. I said, say less. Let me hit my
Say
boy
less,
up,
fam.
and here we are. So before we get started, this episode brought to you by the unofficial sponsor, Sangria.
Sangrilla.
Everybody got their, Sierra got
I
his
messed
beer.
up.
It don't matter.
After
got
this,
some
I'll
booze.
have the sangria. After this, I'll have the sangria with a little something in it.
Word.
Pinkies up for sure.
Pinkies up, baby. When in doubt, pinky out.
Yeah, you already know.
Pinky out.
Okay, so man, look, this is dope because
Still got some gold.
first of all, with this quarantine thing, we gotta figure out how to be creative as creatives, and we have to learn how to now go southpaw from right hook. We gotta change it up because everything is switched on us. We can't go out, we can't make stuff, and then we want to record videos, Matt and I, but we can't. So now we're testing with this, and now this is an even new test because we got Andrew Sierra on here, my boy Sierra, and this is gonna be dope, man. We just gonna have a good time, man.
Vibing, dog.
Just straight up. I don't got my snacks. Usually I have my hot fries with me, but whatever.
Hey, feel free to step up. That's a luxury of quarantine. We're home.
Hey, we're home, dog.
Do what you gotta do.
I got my kids goldfish, bro.
There you go, man. I might have to grab me a bowl too.
Extra cheddar, dog.
Yo,
Cheesy boys.
Sierra, man, how you been holding up in this quarantine, man? Tell us, man, what you been up to? The people know what we've been up to, but what you been up to?
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. I've been holding up. I guess for me, really, this is like, I guess as a creative, it's every day, man. I work from home, so really for me, it hasn't been much different. The only thing is that I obviously don't have the luxury of stepping outside my crib and shooting, actually physically shooting, which has definitely been affecting my creative process. So although I've felt comfortable and normal just being at the crib, I also have that backlash where I wake up and I'm like, okay, pencil to the head. I'm like, man, I got to do something. So, I've been staying active by kind of doing what you guys are doing right now. I have my own podcast as well. It's on filmmakers and kind of, just giving them a platform to talk about their career. And, I just let that be a natural thing. And amongst other things, my wife is a therapist. So she actually started gaining some traction online through occupational therapy, like kids activity type platform. So she creates all these activities that kids can do to improve their motor skills, their gross motor skills, and just all their daily functions. Is zipping up their jacket, tying their shoes, so forth and so on. So so I've actually been putting a lot more focus on that because we're home. I'm home a lot more now too, like all the time now, obviously. So I've been seeing the value in what she's doing, and I've been helping her create content, take photos, do things with our kids where they're actually doing the activities. And, on the back end, we're kind of basically working on like an ebook right now for her activities, therapy wise, kind of get it out there. So that's it, man. Just dadding it up and then doing my own content, dropping a lot of old work as well, things that didn't have the opportunity to drop. But I mean, I'm talking about I just dropped a video, I think that I did like almost a year ago. And it never released until I guess now maybe some of the labels of the management are like, fuck it, let's just drop it.
Let's just go. We ain't got
everybody's in that mode right now where they're like, all right, you know what? We just gotta do it,
bro. So we
what
were
else we gonna do?
Dropping a YouTube channel a while back. We were just like, we got to get everything set up. I got my cameras, obviously. I want to get the lights, and so we were gonna do a whole segment this way while recording like this. But obviously with this happening, we had to kind of improv, and so
We had to
like,
jump start it real quick.
we jump started
Yeah.
through Skype, and the feedback has been dope, man. So that's been good. You mentioned that you do a podcast on film, and you also mentioned that you're a daddy. So tell us about that. You're a daddy of what? Let the world know what you do.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have two beautiful daughters, man. You know, I'm a
Yes.
dad of two beautiful girls, a 4-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. You know, off the
Girl
must.
dad. Let's go.
Yeah, your girl dad too, or
I got a daughter and a son. Yeah.
oh yeah, you lucked out, man. See, I
I
have to
did.
go for number 3, no matter what. I gotta go for number 3 because it's like, yo, my wife wants a boy. I've been wanting a boy, so it's like, no matter
Right.
what.
Yeah.
At number 3 at some point, but yeah, man, I got the 2 girls, Eliza and Gianna. They're wonderful. They're extremely intelligent, active. My older one is she's very articulate and has a great understanding of things for her age and is very aware of like her environment. And my younger one is very imaginative. I can tell like the way she plays with toys is just much different than how my 4-year-old at the time, or even until now, plays with toys. You can really see that she engages, like thinks she's in her own little world and makes noises. So it's pretty interesting kind of seeing that mix of intelligence and then creativity, like, you know, and they both have that aspect of them, but you see it with those specific in both of them, you know.
Nice.
So
How old are your daughters, man?
They're 4 and 2.5.
Oh,
yeah,
young buds.
that's kind of like the same age difference between you and your kids, right, Matt?
Yeah,
Close, right?
my son is 3. He'll be 4 in August. My daughter will be 2 in May. So
Yeah, so it's
Oh
about
wow, right there, yeah.
yeah, man, we
yeah,
were trying to get them done and out.
yeah, no, not I. We're done. We're done. We got 2 boys. We're done.
You lucky.
I mean,
I'm not done yet. I gotta get that. I gotta get that.
oh no, we lucked out.
Done yet?
Yeah, no, I don't want. Listen. I live vicariously through other dads that have daughters. I can't do it. I love y'all, and like his daughter's like I love her to death. But like, what I feel, and she's not even my daughter. What I feel for my son. So if I had a daughter, I couldn't even imagine. Like salute to girl dads for real.
Yeah.
And that's so okay. So you were
It's
saying
real.
like you see like creativity in your daughters, bro. So tell me, as a creative guy, right? Because we went to school together. I've seen your work, dog. Like your visuals are always outstanding. As a creative,
Thank
does it mean anything to you? Is there excitement in you at all when you see these things in your daughters? And do you hope that they kind of take on and jump on the set
Yeah,
with you?
that's a definite like you know, so obviously and my bad if I'm like really stiff. I messed my neck up last night.
It's all good,
A
You
man.
dad
good,
team
bro?
It's all good, bro.
weird on
Mine
the
is stiff on
couch.
the left side, bro. I'm chilling.
I don't know what I did. I'm like, yo, what should I move or not? But anyways,
You good?
I do, man. It definitely sparks. I mean, besides just loving them to death already, it definitely gives me more encouragement, and it just makes me more excited to like push the boundaries and figure out what is the next step going to be. And you know, um, even though I'm independent right now as a freelancer and I do run my own company, like the grand deal with that is obviously opening up the company to be an umbrella, and it can be ran by my family. You know, my wife take care of management, and my
Right.
kids are there, and they're, you know, they can be producers, directors, whatever they want to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be our company. It's going to be something
Right.
that will, whether we own a studio or whether we own 20 studios, I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know yet, but I know that down the road, I definitely want that for the family. So yeah, so when I see these things and I see how into movies they are and how they engage, and just even now, like now that we're, like I was mentioning earlier, that we're filming a lot more videos with my wife and doing content, like even telling my 4-year-old to do certain things, like she's all into it. You know, she's like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. Like, yeah. And, you know, they want to participate
Yeah,
and
I
like,
saw that. I saw that video that
so
you
it's
did
like,
with
it's
them
cool.
coming out with the fake Hennessy bottles when you're in the club. We posted that on our page, bro. That stuff was
No,
fire.
you didn't. No, you didn't.
I
I gotta
did,
go check
bro.
it out.
You did, bro.
That's
Like
amazing.
okay. So the other thing that I gotta be honest, the thing that made me cringe in that video is when I saw you on the couch with the shoes. I was like, not the
Everybody
shoes.
said the same.
on the couch.
Everybody said the same. Everybody's like, but why did you step on the couch? I'm like, bro, I think it's super realistic.
Yeah,
Charlie
for
Murphy,
real,
baby.
dog.
Charlie Murphy.
Oh, dog, my shoes don't come past the front door. So like when I saw that, I was like, oh, he went all in for the video. He went all in. Okay.
Do it for the clout.
So for those who don't know, Sierra is not just some local filmmaker. Like this dude has got some quality work under his belt. Let us know some of the talent that you've worked with, bro. Tell the people so they know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've been blessed. I mean, even earlier on in my career, like I started in 2011. I was an editor. Then I maybe like 6 months, I don't know, maybe like 4 months into being an editor, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a DSLR camera. And at that time, I had bought a Nikon D5100. But even from that early on in my career, what I was getting at is that I've always had been fortunate enough to be in situations or in areas or be connected to one person that was connected to something greater. I mean, I know that we
Right.
all are at some point in our own ways, but for me at
Yeah.
that time, it was literally like artists. Like I was just hanging out with all the gods, you know, like
Yeah.
everybody that was on top, whether it was Ace Hood, Khaled, Schoolboy
Mhm.
Q, Action Bronson at the time. I mean, this is like, you know, like I said, this is back, you know, 2011,
Right.
between 2011 to 2013, 14 time, you know? So I start meeting all these guys, man, and I start being able to shoot and do my own thing. Are you chopping this up, by the way, or are you just posting it up like this?
This is raw, bro.
One time,
You're just
baby.
posting it raw.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, no problem. Just curious because I kind of lost track of the question.
Okay, no, I'll bring it back. So again, I said the people that you work with, man. Tell the people your resume of
That's right.
some of the
That's what I
dope
was
artists
leading up
that you
to.
work with. Yeah.
Right. So perfect. So yeah, so like I was saying earlier on in my career, man, I was blessed to meet a lot of people, basically, is what I'm saying. And I worked for it, you know, I hustled, I made sure I was at places that I knew certain people were gonna be at, and I would at least
Yeah.
get a manager number or so forth and so on. So that's kind of lead me to now, like present day, it's lead me to the kind of like the premiere of what I've been doing, which is filming artists like Pitbull,
Yeah.
Brian Meyer, Jay Quiles, Mickey Woods. A lot in the Latin market really has been my most like
Nice.
power visuals, you know, where we're talking a million views in one day, easy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like real numbers, real statistics. Like it's just because these people are so big, man. The Latin market is booming. So
Yeah.
that's just to name a few. And then on the rap side of things, I work with artists like Ken Jones, Anonymous Music, Satori, Papi Yer, which is he's the guy that produced the new Sprung remix that Jerry Sprunger that Tory Lanez did. So he produced that new instrumental. He's the one that made the beat, but he's also an artist, and he
Nice.
also did the beat for "Broken a Minute." I ain't been broken a minute. Don't get
The one that
offended.
the video that you.
So that guy, so he's an artist as well, and I've been kind of focusing and doing a lot of visuals with him and Tori in that camp. So Tori, like basically, I direct the videos with him with Papier, and Tory Lanez comes in and he actually edits the videos. So he's
Nice.
an artist, but he actually
Wow.
is
He's
into editing.
involved.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Nice.
what's up.
That's
So
cool.
it's really neat. So that's just to name a couple, man. And then obviously on the side of things, I've been blessed to work with awesome brands. I've worked with Red Bull, I've worked with Heineken, Bacardi, Douce. I've worked with Nike, Adidas, the Nutrition
Yeah.
Zone, which is a local company in Brickell. A lot of like I keep my avenues open, so I'm always
Yeah.
doing things. I'm not just limited to music videos,
Right.
which is not a bad thing. You know, if you're killing it, and you by all means, I mean, if you're shooting every day of the week and your music videos,
Sure.
whatever, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But for me, I went the route of trying my best to always keep the portfolio and the demo reel very vast and like
Yeah.
Diverse. Sure.
Yeah. Now,
diverse and just yeah.
out of all those things, what has been your favorite to shoot, or what is it that you really want to do? Like if you're like, man, like if I'm doing this, I'm happy just doing this. Like for me,
Right.
like just to get to frame that question, I think anybody who's gone to AI with me knows I could film whatever, but my
Yeah,
thing that I
stick with
love
the stories,
is
man.
I love movies, bro. That's my thing. Like
Yeah,
movies are
yeah.
my thing. So I just want to film movies, be an independent filmmaker. So so for you in that sense, like what does that look like for you? What's that thing for you that's like, man, this is where I really want to go?
I think it's two routes. I think for me, it's like I have the one side of me that wants because well, first let me just say this: I just got my first taste of directing a feature film, so
Mm,
I've never done a short film on my own.
right.
Just because I don't know, I put a lot of unnecessary maybe pressure on myself at the time, and I decided that I was not ready because I'm a perfectionist in a way. So at the
Right.
time, my mentality, even though I kind of held myself back, but maybe I did, but my mentality was
Sure.
always, if I don't have all the resources I want, I don't want to do it. You
Right.
know, and I knew those resources had to come with money, had to come with an investment, and I didn't want
Right.
to make those mistakes with my own money. So it kind
Right.
of took me a while to kind of like think up of a short. Don't mind you, I have scripts now. I got like 4 or 5
Right.
scripts that are very solid scripts. They're
Right.
sitting. And I know when the time is right, I'll pursue them. But But at that time, man, yeah, like I think the ultimate goal for me would be shooting a feature film or shooting feature films more regularly, you know, doing something that is going to be screened in theaters. That is an ultimate goal no matter what, even though my whole career
Yeah.
has consisted of like music videos and freelance work and videography work, events, commercials. Like I also like, yeah, the big scheme of things is having, you know, walking that stage and like, yo, this dude fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
produced, or he
He
beat that,
bodies it.
you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate goal. And then on the other side of things, like I was mentioning earlier, just my company and having it up. Like I've always seen myself like the way I've made it this far is like literally connecting with everybody and doing any type
Yeah.
of visuals and
Yeah.
holding a value to it. And you know, it got to a point where I had X amount of corporate companies that I was working with, and I couldn't be everywhere at once. So I started hiring other videographers, and I started getting this taste of like, damn, like I really like just being that guy that like sometimes I don't even got to show up no more. You know, like
Right.
just do things from the crib, do all the paperwork. I could be the guy that they see, they meet, they shake the hand, I lock the deals, I get the budgets,
Right.
and I was able to start getting. I was getting paid just to sit at home and pass off the jobs. So that game, once I got a little taste of that, man, I really told myself like it'd be super awesome to get to that level where I have a company that's like a Zimmerman, you
Right.
know, but
Nice.
it's ran
Yeah.
by me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's not no. I don't want it to be like a cult, or I don't want it to like I don't know. I've just heard a bunch of stuff with Zimmerman. I've never worked there, so I can't
Right.
personally speak on it.
Right.
But I, you know, I want it'll be family friendly
Right.
oriented. Like
It'll
it'll
be
be a
the
real
Google
lifestyle.
film.
You
Yeah,
know,
like the Google company of films. Like
yeah,
mad
something.
chill, maybe some slides up in there for the kids, some
Yeah.
relaxed
Yeah,
couches and
something
everything.
super futuristic and modern and just
Oh,
relatable. Yeah, for
oh,
sure.
that's what's up, man.
Let me ask you, man. So everybody's got an origin story. What is it for you that like got you into film production and doing what you do? Like, was it something that you've known you've always wanted to do as a kid, or is it something you kind of stumbled on and was like, I think this could be something I'm good at. Let me pursue it.
What's your superhero origin
Right.
story?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's actually the second one where it was something I kind of stumbled upon. Earlier on in high school, I did do like film classes, but it was more just as an elective. I literally was doing it for a grade, so at that time it was just playful, you know. But I was always doing it somehow. It was weird
Sure.
because like looking back, I was like, oh shit, like there was always cameras around. My dad recorded a lot of my childhood. As I got
Yeah,
older, I was always around JVC cameras, but I never was like that kid that was like, you know, I didn't have that in me because I always had a basketball in my hand. So that's where my story's going. I basically came up playing ball. I picked it up at an early age. I fell in love. I was naturally very good at it. And by the time I got to college, my senior year of high school, I basically got hurt. I pulled my groin, and while going for a dunk, it was literally the second game of the season, my senior season.
damn.
The year before that, I was the fourth leading scorer in the District of Broward County,
Jeez.
and so going into senior year, we had potential things, like there was potential scholarships, there was potential things that were going on. So when I got hurt, I guess maybe I just wasn't good enough to people to confide and hold on to me. Like it wasn't like they were like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're hurt, we still want to sign you. It was like
Sure.
I didn't get to play my whole season
Mm.
until the district finals game. It wasn't the final. It was like the semifinals or some shit. I don't fucking remember, but against Flanagan High School. So we
Flanagan.
played against Flanagan. This guy named Kyle Marshall. He's literally 6'6", left-handed kid. He was about 220 pounds. Kid ended up going on to play for Butler, but coach looks at me. He's like, you know, he sees. I was like just coming off being injured from the whole season, but I'm like, dude, this might be the last game I ever play in high school, bro. So he's like, yo, Drew, you know, you ready, man? You think you can run? I'm like, let's go, man. I get in
Put me in,
there.
coach.
Horrible game. The gym is packed, bro. Packed. There's people banging on the doors. It's crazy. You taking free throws. There's people on the basketball court. It's a wild environment. I get in there. I lay an egg. I hadn't played all season. I was horrible. This
Damn.
kid drops a cool 20 on my head, plus whatever else he did to everybody else that guarded him that game. So, and it ended up being where like I literally left high school depressed, bro. Because
Sure.
like that was it. That was it. I had no offers. I had nothing going on. And I had to basically walk on to a D2 college team. So I decided to enroll at St. Thomas University. And when I got there, the college basketball experience didn't go as planned. Like I didn't get a lot of playing time. I was kind of left aside to the people that they were going out the country to use. I mean, bringing them in on scholarships, kids from the Bahamas, Venezuela, whatever, DR. They were going to a bunch of different places to bring these kids in. So, yeah, man, again, I go into this kind of like, I don't know who I am. I played basketball my whole life. I'm like, I don't know. I'm failing every subject because I'm telling myself I'm going to be a physical therapist. So I'm taking pre-med biology my first freaking year. And I was just playing myself, bro. You know, like I was going through a tough time, man. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it just got to a point almost by my third year. It was like the ending of the second year. And I had got kicked off the team. You know, I was on academic probation. And I had to make a choice, man. Like, what am I gonna do? You know, like, what really am I gonna do about this? Am I gonna stay here? Am I gonna fix my grades? Am I gonna lose all this money for nothing that I just put into going to the school? Fuck my family situation up, everything. You know, it was a lot on my mind. So I leave the advisor's office. I go into the courtyard, man, and I'm sitting there literally with my head in my hands. And it just, even though I was going to a small, private university, it just so happened that this friend of mine named Natasha that I went to high school with, she just so happened to be going to this school as well. Now, mind you, I never see this girl around ever. Like I know she was a good friend of mine in high school, but I just never really see her around because like she was doing something else. I was in pre-med biology, and I don't know, she was doing what I ended up finding out is communication. So this girl comes up to me. She's like, I remember, she's like, Boo, she's this Haitian chick, super cool. She's like, Boo, what's wrong? Why you look so down? And I'm like, man, and I start telling her the situation. I'm like, look, I'm about to get kicked out of the school. I don't know what major to choose, and like my grades are down, and God really sent me her as an angel, man, because she doesn't, I don't even know, like I know she's heard this story before, probably like on my Instagram and stuff, and I've let her know, but I don't really know if she knows how like she impacted me that day, because she ended up picking me up and was on some like, do you remember in high school when you did film? Well, like they got a program here where it's like communications, and we do a little bit of video stuff, and we do also radio stuff. Like, you should try it. You was always good at that. Because every Friday our school would put like a show out, called Gator Television. So she remembered that. And she was like, you always have fun, like acting, and you was always so high spirits. Like, I think you'd be really good at it. So I'm like, all right. So I go to the communications department, and that's when everything just happened, man. Like, I went in there, I saw the computers, I got the walkthrough, I met the professor. It was a small department, man. It was really small. It was probably the most small department in the school. Nobody really cared about it.
Sure.
We had crappy gear, and that's when it all started, man. And I basically I switched my major to communications, and within the first semester, I actually learned and taught myself and got so obsessed that I got to a point where now students were asking me for how to do certain things in the editing program, and it was Final Cut 7 at that time. Right. And, they're like literally like, yo, how do we do this? And the professor wouldn't know how to answer it, but because I was literally, those kids would leave class, I go to my next class and then come back to the lab, and then and on my downtime, and then whatever next class, okay, go to my next class and then come back to the lab again. Those kids, they would just go there that one time, and that was it. I was always back to I didn't know, it was something new, like completely new. So I just was like, you know what? I have nothing. What am I going to lose? And I just immersed myself, man. So I guess they just saw how passionate I was, and who is now one of my mentors, I considered at the time, Carlos de Yarza. Shouts out to him. He was one of the people that are the main people that work the communications department there. And he saw how passionate I was, man. And he let me stay there late. He opened the door for me, maybe at times that I shouldn't have been there. And he really helped me learn a lot about the technicality of the program and things like that. So that's where really everything started, man. And now I just took off. I feel like I got too smart for that school. Like, I got too obsessed with the craft, and they weren't keeping up with me. So I left, and I went to the Art Institute, where I met Gio. And the Art Institute, I think it's a great alma mater. I have nothing negative to say. Like, I wish sometimes maybe they would have pushed the boundaries a little more and demanded more from us. But that school is also like anything, man. It is what you make of it. And I felt like I did my part to make the best out of it,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
And
We
for
was
me,
out there.
it was more knowledge being received than the St. Thomas, because St. Thomas at the time, the program was so new. Nobody really, it was just professors
Right.
like trying to do shit, but nobody was really like in it.
Right. You ever thought about going back to St. Thomas and kind of like teaching or telling your story or?
Yeah, so I've actually been there already twice. I've
Nice.
spoken already for a couple classrooms there,
Yeah.
and that was Carlos de Yarza. You know, once he's seen everything I've done since I've left there, he was like, "Dude, like, I need you to
Yeah.
come to school and talk
Yeah.
to the
I'm back.
kid." Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and the only issue with teaching, man, is that, you know, unfortunately, to teach at that type of level, you need a master's degree, you know, and I decided
Yeah.
to leave the art early, and because the thing is that when I got to the art institute, I was already doing shit in the street. I was already filming
Yeah. Yeah.
art. I was already hustling at the clubs. I was already shooting weddings. I was already doing
Yeah.
what a lot of people are just now starting to do, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah, you were
so when,
always busy, bro. Like you would come in to get equipment just to go. You'd be like, and
yeah.
I remember working checkout. You'd be like, bro, you got that camera, you got that. Like, yeah. Go ahead. I got you, bro. I got you.
No, but seriously, and you know what's funny is that a lot of, you know, I can say this now because screw it, the school's closed. But at that time,
Right.
I was literally getting camera to work jobs that professors were low key hiring me for,
Right.
and
Right.
nobody even knew. I'll come to
Right.
class and they're like, "Fuck it," they would hand me a check. I'd be like, "Nobody knows. Nobody even sees
Right.
it." That I wait to the end. I meet them in the bathroom, and it's not
Right.
nothing bad. It's just they
No,
saw
no,
the
no, no.
potential, bro.
Well, that was
They
the
saw
thing.
what was going on.
Professors used to be allowed to hire students, but the problem was certain students would feel butthurt that they weren't being called in, and that it felt like favoritism, so they had to stop that across the board. But the professors on paper were like, okay, we can't do this, but on book or behind the scene, they were like, look, man, if you're good, you're good. You're coming on set with me, and that's
That's
just
it.
what it is.
Yeah.
And so
That's it.
we met through the first film off at AI. I think that's where we met because
I
I
honestly
had
don't remember. I just remember I was there, and then all of a sudden you popped up.
right. So I think this is how it went down. Ernesto, where I officially met you was at Ernesto's pool party. Months after that, you had walked in. Your girl was pregnant with your first child.
Damn,
But prior to that, I remember you showing up because Ernesto and I had put on this film competition, and you were one of the people on his crew. So that's kind of where I first recognized the face.
Yeah. I
And you
remember
were always
that.
hanging out with AB. You were always hanging out with AB, right?
Yeah,
And he was rocking the man bun before anybody pulled that off. Like he
AB.
was
Yeah,
rocking it. French swag, bro.
AB set a lot of trends.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. That's the dude that makes some of the clothes for me that I still rock, Matt.
Yep.
Nice.
AB.
But yeah, shout out to AB and Alez. I hope I said that right. I feel like I can never say that right. But so that I see you there, and then I saw you at the pool party, and then after that, I saw you for the second film competition because you were coming in and you were going to do a film, and then from there, it just ended up being a thing. But I think where we officially started, like, where our conversations became more than shorthanded, was when and I still have the footage. I was going through old footage in my phone when Farley made the class do a breakdown on Mimetis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I remember like that to me was pretty dope. Seeing the class see my work like that, I was like, yo, that's cool. Which, by the way, your
And I
story is
love
very
that
similar
film.
to mine. Appreciate it, man. Your story is very similar to mine, bro. And it was very serendipitous. Being around a Colombian father, he always had a camera out because I don't know if your
Yep.
dad's Colombian. My dad is Colombian.
I'm
Right.
Colombian.
Right. So like my dad is like, I'm first generation here. My dad is like from Colombia. So he comes here with his, camcorder. He's recording everything. So I'm surrounded by cameras and I don't even know it. But then I look back and I realize that I'm surrounded by cameras and that my love for film, like I even got put in a film program by accident. I was in communications. And I told him
Okay.
public relations, arts and public relations with a focus in communications with a focus in public relations. And the lady at the front was like, arts and new media. And I was like, ma'am, I don't know. Like, I'm just here to transfer my credits. Like, you would know better than me. And a month later, I found out I was in film program and it had just made sense. Because when Matt and I were roommates, we were always filming shorts and stupid, like skits and stuff. Like, I'd always been playing with a camera, taught myself how to edit on iMovie. So it's very interesting, your story.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
pretty
crazy too. It's crazy because, like, I feel like your story has bits and pieces of mine too. You know what I mean? Like, as you were
The
talking, I was
basketball
like,
part.
well, yeah, dude. Like, I broke my ankle a week before the season started. Basketball was all I wanted to do. I'm 6'5", bro, so I'm like, hooping was what I wanted, and I didn't take it serious until senior year. and then broke my ankle a week before the season started. And that was it. It was a
Yeah,
wrap. I think I played like the last 3 games of the season. I got invited to the BCAA, like they had this invitational at the end of the season every year, whatever, for seniors, I guess.
Yeah.
I went and played at that, you know, and it was cool. And I got calls from like some small schools, like in Kansas and other places. But I was like, I'm not about to leave Florida to go play at some D3. They're like, we could really use a power forward. I'm like, power forward, dog. I'm 6'5", bro. Like, I'm trying to play.
Like, don't worry,
guard.
the power forwards you'll play in this division are 6'2".
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, I wasn't about that. And then I ended up actually, you know, school on and off, whatever. I ended up in communications as well, man. And so I think it's pretty cool, man. Like, I feel like, you know, I think it's a testament to, I guess, the truth of life and the reality of life that you're not gonna know what you're gonna do when you graduate high school. There's like a select few people, you know, who's like, I've been wanting to be a dentist since I was 4 years old, you know. But it's like, you know, most people are like, dude, I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do until I was 25. And even now, at 34, I'm switching and going into sales. You know, like I've done sales on and off throughout my life, but like I'm like, okay, about to make that my career. Also got adjusting on the side. So it's like you morph and you grow. So I think it's mad cool, you know, how we all kind of are intertwined in some way, shape, or form, you know what I mean, to kind of end up where we are. So I appreciate you sharing that.
To add to that, I think for me and for like a lot of other people, I always loved movies. Like I had a film class in high school at Nova. I mean, I was bodying that class. It was film appreciation, and we would analyze a film. We'd watch a film, we'd analyze it, we'd write about it. And most kids use that class as an easy A. Of course, it was an easy A. But I've always loved film. Like I grew up in a family that we'd always watch films. Like my mom was renting movies before Redbox was a thing. Like renting like VHS.
Right.
Like my grandma, I was watching like the Puppet Master
from the library and shit.
You feel me? Like my grandmother has like cassettes, like VHSs that she recorded on her TV, 4 different movies in one VHS, 2 like Candyman, The People Under the Stairs, Puppet Master. Like I'm watching all these movies with my right like. And so like I was always indoctrinated with film and the love of, kind of like Ernesto's story, always growing up watching movies with not my dad, but my mom. And so like I didn't even realize it, but I remember at one point, every time I would go to a friend's house who was wealthier than me or had more money, and enough to have a camera, like that's just how much money we didn't have. Like if they had a camcorder, I'd be like, oh,
you already know,
right.
For sure.
So I was like, yo, let me see it, and I would always naturally start storyboarding and drawing stuff, and my friends would be like, dude, let's just go ride our bikes. And so like I always thought to myself, this is not a viable career. And so it's funny how I ended up in it, not by choice, but by a serendipitous decision that somebody else made. Because looking back, I'm like, yo, this makes sense. I've always loved film. I mean, yo, I was one of the dudes that like no shame, till high school, I was playing with action figures, bruh. And my action figures had story plots that would last weeks sometimes, dude. Like I'd come home and I'm like, all right, pick up from where we left off. Like storytelling was always in my nature. And then you know better than anybody, growing up Hispanic, the music we listen to is more than just dancing music. Like there's stories in that, bro. So like I've been indoctrinated with storytelling my whole life. I've been writing stories. Like in 4th grade, I wrote teachers were saying they would pick like, I don't know, I think it was like 5 out of the whole entire class. Like best story, tell us why you leave class for the day to go to a Marlins game. Like I was always winning awards for writing. I just never thought that I could make a career out of that. I always thought, yo, this is just fun. So I say all that to say, like, most people, sometimes they don't know what they want to do, or sometimes they just can't say what they want to do because they've been taught that the arts are not a viable source of income because it's not as stable as everything else.
Which is
nothing stable.
True.
Nothing stable.
Which is true. Well, here's a lot of times.
So it's a very unstable career, but I mean,
not
it's
to mislead anybody because it's a true hustle you need.
It's what you make it. It's really what you make it and how much of a drive you have. But here's the other thing: the quarantine has taught me 2 things about this. Our business was one of the first to get shut down, not seen as essential work, right? Like we're not doctors, we're not people that work at grocery stores, so we stay home. But on the flip side, what is everybody doing at home? Reading books, watching movies, watching videos.
That's true.
So you realize that while we are not essential, what is essential is the creativity and the need to continuously tell stories in a society that's constantly being bogged down with other stuff. And so creatives, I think, are far more powerful than politicians, right? Like we talk more about Michelangelo than we do about Caesar sometimes. And you know what I'm saying? So Like creatives really are the prophets of our time, and sometimes I think they create stuff and they don't even realize that they're being touched by God to create something for something much greater than themselves. Should you allow yourself to be used rather than make it about yourself? But I find it interesting that, you know, most people, like you said, Matt, they leave high school and they don't know what they want to do. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I actually, when I graduated from high school, I went to AI, Matt, to sign up for graphic design. Right, Renzo took me and he was like, "Yeah, let's do this." And I was like, "Oh, this is dope." I went back and I told my mom. My mom was like, "Yo, that debt is not for you. Like that's for the birds." And she talked me out of it. So I was gonna go to AI at least 10 years earlier than when I already went. You feel me? So and then here I am now doing all the graphic designs on my own for like the Dad to the Dale page and all that stuff. Like, but the thing is, like, I would have wanted, the reason why I went to AI was not to teach myself film. It was because I wanted to network. Like I literally, my wife can tell you. I walked through those hallways. She'll tell you. We walked through orientation, and I was like, I'm gonna be this. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be one of the best filmmakers in the school. Like, and I remember
I did the same fucking thing,
bro.
I literally told the lady, I'm like, oh, that wall of fame right there. Yeah, I'll be back.
That's where I'm gonna be.
Put me on there.
And I remember the guy who was walking and telling me, rest in peace. I don't know if you remember one of the guys who did not orientation, but one of the recruiters, the one who passed away in a car accident. Thomas
I know you're talking about. Yeah,
he was my guy, and he was like, "Yo, you know," and he hit me with the, "You know, you might want to be humble. There's some things you could learn here." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm here to learn, but I'm gonna be one of the best at this school. Like, I'm gonna graduate the top of my class." And I did everything I set out to do. Like we wanted to put on a film competition at a movie theater. No teacher told us to do that. We did that. We like that was
y'all boys did do that shit. That was respect. You guys got me more excited for that stuff because I didn't. Because I always had these visions, but I didn't. For me, like the thing with me, bro, is like I was never clicky, man. Like I don't know why AI felt very clicky, bro.
Yeah.
Like I grew up with a brotherhood, basketball players, homies. Like even in college, even when I wasn't playing a lot, those were my brothers, bro. Like it was all love. We go on trips together. We was always together. Like that's just how it was. So when I got to AI, and I was just like, no disrespect, but it was mad 30 dudes making me feel like I'm the outsider. I'm like, bro.
Right, bro. And I had that issue at AI. And I think one of the people that brought me on that made me feel like, oh, this is what's up. The people that I look and I held at high esteem at that point was Brian Low Morale. Right. They had Low Morale Productions. And I was like, yo, like they would come in class with their red camera and I'd just be sitting there like, and I remember one time we had to do a script for Cellini and it was like an adaptive story and I did it. And that caught Brian's attention. He was like, dude, we're shooting a film. We'd love to have you on set. And here's what happened to me. I've always been the type of person that if I go to somebody else's set, not stepping on your toes. What do you need me to do? This is your set. So the very first thing he says to me, literally the very first thing he says, and I quote, he's like, hey, what's up? Oh, there's some more stuff in the car. And oh, by the way, we're just here to make shit. So don't worry. Whatever you have to contribute to the story, let us know. And I was like all ego down, G, like all ego gone. And then there's a few shots in that movie that were inspired by me. And I was like, well, what if we did this? And he was like, yeah, let's try that. And I took that away and I was like, okay, that's the kind of energy I want on my sets. Like I want people to be able to collab. I want people to be able to just bring that to the table. And I don't know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this because I think South Florida in general is like, I think like AI is a microcosm of South Florida. The creatives down here sometimes are very much like, and they have a hard time collabing, dude. Like I'm so open to collabing with any and everybody, bro. Like I want to make work. And I feel like that's why South Florida is having a hard time becoming the hub of film and creativity that it can be. I mean, we have everything that California has minus mountains. We have everything. Like we could be the Hollywood. We have Hollywood here.
We could. We could.
But I feel like so many people are too busy competing. And I feel like that's what kind of turned me off about the industry a little bit, and which is why I really remain an independent filmmaker. But maybe you can tell me a little bit or tell us a little bit more about that. Does that continue to persist? And do you just work through it with the crew that you have continuously trying to build a brotherhood? Is that something that you still find yourself competing with?
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, man, because I'm guilty of what you're saying as well. You know, being competitive and not allowing new people to be around or not wanting to collaborate. But I feel like the industry over time made me that way. You know, and also, I mean, beyond already having a competitive background, I just being a sports player, I just think that when I came in, like this is a story about, and it has to do with AB, but while I was at the Art Institute, I had a very high ego in the beginning, like super, like because I started seeing the projects I was dropping and what my
Right.
fellow students were dropping, and I was like, oh,
It's very
this is a
easy to walk
fucking
around
joke.
AI cocky when you realize that a lot of people
Yeah.
go to AI because they think AI is going to turn them into an artist, and there's very few of us who go because we're like, okay,
I'm already an
we're
artist.
networking. I'm already an artist. You can't make
Yeah.
me an artist. I'm just here to
Right.
refine and learn.
Right.
But,
So like, yeah. So when I went there, it was like a big ego thing, and I was very big on like, no, I directed this, I shot this, I edited it, I colored it, I came up with the idea, I wrote the treatment, like everything had to be me, 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 me. And I remember one day, maybe like 5 months into knowing AB or some shit, I'm at his apartment, and you know, he's listening to me talk, and he's just like, bro, like, yo, just like, please stop talking, bro. Like, just stop talking, bro. Like, are you hearing yourself right now?
that's
You know,
so
he's very
AB.
spiritual dude. He's a very spiritual dude. So like, he was like, yo, Sierra, like, you don't even understand, bro, how much you're letting your ego show right now, bro. He's like, you really need to just start trusting the people, and your projects will get better. Basically, you know, he's like, confide in people, like, let them do what they want to do. And the conversation was a lot deeper than that, but that was pretty much the gist of it. And like, you know, I really left that day because I left like thinking like, wow, like I barely know this kid. Nobody has ever fucking talked to me like that.
Right.
And this kid just had the balls to be like, bro, you're too full of yourself, basically. Like,
Yeah.
calm down. You know, like you
Yeah.
need to move different, and maybe better things will happen. And ever since that day, man, like I definitely progressed with a better attitude. I started involving more people in my projects. I started being open to say, hey, you know what, man? If this is what you did, bro, take the full credit. I don't want to give you partial credit. I'll just take the full credit because, you know, I was also doing that. I would give like partial credit. Like if somebody shot it with me, it was like they DP'd it with me. It wasn't just you DP'd it. You know, it's like, no,
Right.
I DP'd it and him. And, you know, sometimes in the case like Bigger sets today, like sometimes it is that, you know, sometimes I'll direct DP and edit, but I'll have a main DP. And, you know, I want to sometimes take that credit because I'm like, man, I did DP this though, essentially. But at the time, I understand that I paid somebody for that role, and I kind of got to give them that credit, you know? So in the industry, basically what I'm getting at is that it is very competitive. I've been trying to build with the same crew for a long time. And, you know, but a lot of guys, they come and go no matter what happens, because when you're kids, everything is easier. When you start getting into the big game and you start talking real numbers and all this shit's going on, really, like, money literally does change everything, including your own crew, you know, and people around you, and, you know, including myself, you know, it definitely changed a lot of things for how I look and how I want to move, because as a producer background, also because a lot of the projects I get the budgets, so I have to produce them a lot of the times because I'm not always hitting a $20,000 plus budget. You know, when I get those $20,000 plus budgets, I'll go and hire a producer to manage everything. But on the other side of things, I'm on anything below that, I'm really taking care of on my own and having to. I start playing a numbers game in my mind. Yo, I gotta pay this guy this much. I gotta save money here. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. How can I put more money in my pocket? You know, because I'm gonna be the one that's gonna end up having to still edit this for hours on hours at the end, or do I just pay an editor? But if I pay an editor, how much do I really want to pay him? You know, so it's like now I start becoming kind of like a hustle con man with the numbers I'm working. Because that's hey, I'm giving you the real. I'm giving you the real right now.
Right.
Nobody might want to say this shit, but this is what it is. Because bro, like producers, we have to move that way. We can't just be like, oh yeah, you want fucking $1,200 to DP? Here you go. Here you go.
Right.
It's that. So, hey, sometimes it's like that, but it's got to be big boy budgets. And 20,000 ain't even a big boy budget no more. Let me put that out there. 20,000, bro, that goes like this. A couple of props, a couple of locations, couple permits, couple cops on site, whatever you need to do.
Permits and cops will cost you a pretty penny for sure.
You know, that shit all disappears, bro, really fast, man. So it is competitive, bro, but there's a way around it. I worked through it. It's all trial and error for me, man. I've accepted that this is a dirty game. I wish that Miami was a lot different. I wish that a lot more people would collaborate and would kind of like throw budgets, but it's just like anything else, man. Like once you get in the circle, you're in finally, you know, and that's what it's all about. It's a big game of having who networks best, you know, who can find themselves in a situation, because you can. I mean, I've been producing great work for years, but my YouTube numbers personally are trash. But you know, like there's other people around me that maybe are not as skilled, and their numbers are great. You know, they're doing a
because
bunch
they
of
know how to
guerrilla
work.
style
They
videos.
know how to work the SEOs and all that other stuff, right?
Maybe
It's
not even that. Maybe not even that. They just so happen to be with the right
Just know
person,
people.
or they just
right, right, right.
it's
Yeah.
just really that's what it is, knowing people,
It's
man.
all
And
what
Yeah.
knowing who you know,
And
man.
it's
Yep.
funny because the South Florida circle I realized is very small. My neighbor, I mean, I'm moving, but my neighbor Mo, you were in Texas with him, right? Like you were shooting
yeah,
something in Texas. Like that's
right.
how small the circle is in South Florida when you get to know people, and it's really dope, man. Now I want to transition to the idea that look, man, you're a father of two beautiful girls. You have a beautiful family, bro. You guys have stuff on YouTube that you guys are putting out together. We're gonna obviously give you a chance to plug that and talk about all that cool stuff. Talk
So
about your podcast because I want people to hear about that. But tell me what it's like in this industry being a husband and a father,
Yeah, I
and
was
how
gonna
do
ask
you
that.
balance that? And it's really dope because your wife, man, she's like she's on the squad with you, right? So
yeah, she's a
that
two-cheek
really
player.
helps. But like,
Hmm.
tell us what that's like because I think people hear me talk a lot about it. Sometimes people are like, "All right, Gio," but I want somebody to hear somebody else talk about it. I want them to
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
like what is it like having a family and then trying to do these productions, right? Like even our schoolwork, right? Like most people are like, dude, like what like even the work we got at AI it wasn't like just write a paper. Like we had to do a production, and that production required a set, it required a script, it required working with a squad of people. So that means a bunch of schedules that you have to align with. So like
right,
your time is very divided. So being a dad, people got to justify your absence away from your family.
right.
But in this case, like, how do you balance all that? How does that look like for you with your family? Like, talk about that as a creative in the
Yeah.
film world or in the film industry, and as a husband and as a father.
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, it's hard as fuck. Um, a lot of the times it's
Right.
stressful, and because I do have a lot of instances where I wanna just leave, just head out and go shoot just to fucking shoot or whatever the case may be. But then I always have to look behind my back, and I see my two kids, I see my wife. Am I really just gonna leave them here bored? Am I not gonna do nothing? Instead of taking the time to do this, instead of creating, should I be teaching my kids something? Should I be,
Mhm.
I don't know,
Right.
spending that extra time with them, reading them books to them, like all those things considered. So it does become a very difficult battle with like timing and scheduling and being present, because I've always made it a point to be present in my kid's life. You know,
Yeah.
I've been blessed to work from home. By no means am I like made it yet, or am I rich? You know, like I'm hustling just like anybody watching this, any of you
Sure.
guys, you and
Yeah.
Matt. But I have those moments, man, where I really have to lock in, disappear, and I've just been, like you said, I've been blessed. My wife's a team player, so
Yeah.
she understands those moments. But in the back end, like I said, I want to be a very present father. So since my kids were born, I haven't missed a day of their life unless I've literally traveled a couple days for a shoot or whatever it may be. But
Right.
I'm always there. I've been a part of their potty training process, learning how to
Yeah.
eat, learning how to walk, learning. I haven't missed anything, and to me, that's super, super
Valuable, bro.
important.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Valuable.
bro, it's valuable. But on the other side of things, I have missed New Year's with my family.
Right.
I missed my daughter's second birthday.
Mm.
At the time, as an independent filmmaker, my family really needed money, bro. So
Yeah.
Sure.
so like,
Sure.
do I take this? Do I take this gig? Do I not take this gig? Do I show?
Right.
If I take this gig, I can at least put a couple grand in our pocket right now. But if I don't, at least I get to be there with my kid's birthday. But you know what? She's gonna have like however many more birthdays. So what do I
Right.
do? And it's just
Right.
always this, like, you're always questioning
Yeah.
yourself, and you're always wondering what's the right or wrong decision. And the answer is you're never gonna know.
But you know what,
You
man?
just
Yeah.
The
gotta.
fact that you're questioning yourself, man, the fact that you're questioning yourself means your headspace is in the right space. Because
Right,
most
right.
cats are like, look, man, deal with it. This is what I got to do, babe. I'm doing this for you. Nah, you're
Don't work
doing it
like
for
that. Don't
you,
work like
G.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that you're thinking about these things means that you're in the right headspace, man. And I think, look, the followers who will see this, and then the people of yours who see this, like, there's no doubt. Like at the end of the day, like there's zero doubt in anybody who, unless you're really good at faking the funk, there's no doubt that you love your children, that you love your
But
family. You
thank
know
you.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's obvious. Like you guys created a YouTube channel together. Like that's so
Yep.
dope. Like if I wasn't so paranoid of putting my family out there all the time, I would be doing stuff like that, right? Like
Yep.
I give in the web snippets because there's being somebody who's out there, knowing with Dads of the Dale and all these other things, I'm out there. Like, I want to keep something for me. But at the same time, like, I also want to show them off. But then I'm like, I don't want them. Like, I also don't want my son at 13 to be like, Dad, that wasn't something I wanted you to share. Like I feel embarrassed by that. So I'd rather him hear these stories rather than, you know, and I want him to be a part of the process. Like, I really want him to be a part of the process. And he's got to, I hear him in the room, not now, but like I hear him in the room, and he's like me, bro. He'll be in the room quiet, just like the creativity is there, man. So I'm very curious to see what he's gonna do. But anyways, I say that to say that like your headspace is in the right spot, dude. Like, it's not easy. This industry is not easy. It's cutthroat. So now trying to be cutthroat while still having a soft heart for your family, it's a dichotomy. It's the balance that is very wild.
It's all fucked up every time. Yeah, it's all because, you know, a lot of people don't realize too, like, to piggyback on that is like, more on the producer side of things. I argue with a lot of people all the time, man. Like, all the time. I'm constantly stressed about trying to find payments, having to pay the other 7 people I hired, 10, 20, whatever it is, 5, 4. There's always something going on when you're busy, you know, and especially when I'm, like I said, when I'm producing the project. So that's another thing too, you know, it's just trying to balance out being stressed from work and not bringing that home, even though it's happening to me while I'm home.
Right.
You know,
Shutting that
I'm
door.
on the phone
That's
in
the,
my
that's
crib,
the
and
difference,
I'm like,
man.
shut the fuck up, you know, like,
how do you disconnect? The desk is right there. And your child is right. It's tough, man.
It's hard. It's tough. You know?
Yeah, I find it for me, like, a lot of times I need to get out of my house, you know, to go do work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like my home has to be my sanctuary and my asylum. And if I do work, I've had, you know, I've worked in the ministry. I've had jobs where I can work at home. And even now I can work from home. And, you know, I was telling my wife, I was like, if I go somewhere, I got to be separated from my family at least, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, now we're in quarantine. I'm screwed. I can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? But, you know, most times I'll be like, I didn't go to Starbucks, sit up in there and do what I need to do. Because when I come home, I'm like, that's where, but on the drive home, I've let go of all of the frustration and all the stuff that I was dealing with. So when I walk through my door, I've done it countless times. I literally get to my parking spot at home and I say, okay, it's daddy time. You know what I mean? Like, I got to put on the daddy hat, take off the work hat, and I got to throw off all that crap that I was about to bring into my house. You know, maybe me and my wife have a conversation later, but right now is my kids need me to be not Superman, but they need me to be dad. They need me to be present. And they don't care about my work. You know, them jokers don't even know what the heck I do, bro.
They don't care about none of that. They just want attention and love, man.
That's it, man.
Yeah, man.
Yo, guys, give me 2. I'm gonna give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna be right back. Hold on.
Be right back, dog.
Yeah, man. Thinking about what you said, Matt, like, that's the hard part about creatives is that, like, for us, if we have the ability to work from home, which is dope. But then the other part of that is, like, sometimes you can't decide when you want to be creative, right? Like, sometimes I find myself in a moment where I'm like, oh, there it is. Like, the apple landed on the head. It hit me and I have to do it. And my son's like, daddy. And I'm like, give me a sugar. Like, no. Like, you know, like, bro, like, it's tough to really to separate sometimes, because being a creative means that you
got to be on when you're on.
You're on when you're on. You are at the whims of, I don't care how you put it. Some people put it the universe. I say God, but I'm at the whims of divine intervention. Like, I'm being like being tuned in and going. Like,
Trust me,
you
dog.
can't turn that off.
I get you, bro. When I was working on sermons and stuff, dude, a lot of times I would, like, prepare them, and I would, like, have some outlines ready to go. But, like, the night before, like, something hits me, bro. I'm like, I gotta change this whole thing up. I literally ripped the whole paper in half, and I'm like, starting from scratch, back, hitting that Bruce Almighty, bro. I'm like, I got something else, bro, and it's just done. And I'm like, dang, that's it. I needed that. You know what I mean? So I hear you, man. It's tough.
Yeah, man. It is an interesting thing, man. This is dope, by the way. Being able to do this. I hope you guys are enjoying this, man. Like, Matt and I are really having a ball with this. Like, I hope you guys are enjoying these YouTube videos that we've been putting out for you, these links, man, these snippets of, like, these funny moments. Like, they've been really dope, man. We've really been enjoying this. a lot. Now, Matt, really quick, let the people know where you're at because I see dresses in the background.
Bruh, I was just about to apologize for all that, dog. I'm like, bruh, I'm in my mom's sewing room, man, and she's a seamstress. She does alterations. And it's the only like room in our house that's like unoccupied right now. And I was gonna go in the living room, but I'm
Didn't
like,
want to
let me
make
just go in here.
noise.
And I was
Right.
trying to keep the light down. Y'all saw when we first started, I had the little, I was like, let me dim it down a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But can't do it, bro. I was like, whatever, man, I'm screwed. So this is my mama's work right here. If you need alterations on your wedding dresses, dog, and you down here in
Hey,
There you
Sunrise,
go.
she is a
holla.
beast.
She been doing it,
Plug
dude.
it up.
She
Plug
been
it
doing
up.
it since she was 19, man. She's grown, bro. She been doing it for years.
I've been
Amazing.
listening to this entire episode and going through it in my head like, okay, this could be a good like 1 minute snippet for YouTube. This could be a good 1 minute snippet for YouTube. This could be the 1 minute like for IG, like these little fun things that we've been posting. It's been really dope, man. All right, so here's also something that's really cool. You have a YouTube channel. Film's Most Wanted Podcast is what it's called, which is really dope. Tell people about what that's about, man. Tell us why you started that, because it now seems, coming from somebody who didn't even know they liked film to then becoming entrenched in it to the point where you're badass at it, and then now people you have this arrogant mentality, which I think is a norm for certain people in this, and then having that one person be like, shh, calm down. And now you're doing this podcast and you're just interviewing other people in the industry, like and like to see your evolution, bro, is really dope. Like I said, when I first met you, your wife was just barely showing. That, if I can remember correctly, with the first child. Now here we are, 2 children later, all of us 2 children later, because none of us had. I was probably, at the time I met you, the only one of all 3 of us with a child, and that doesn't count for anything because my child was fresh out the womb. So here we are, 2 children later, careers and everything, changing, character growing, and now you're doing this podcast. Tell us what that's about, man, because we want to send people to that, bro.
No, that's a fact, and I appreciate that, man. Well, the podcast is it's Film's Most Wanted Podcast. Basically, the inspiration behind it was I have a series that I wanted to shoot based on filmmakers, something that I wanted to produce, to put out to Netflix or Facebook or Hulu. And I won't share the whole idea because I don't want you guys. Yeah, no, just kidding.
Don't let them steal it, bro.
The viewers.
I'm in sales, bro.
Hey, I don't care. So long as I'm in the documentary, I don't care.
Oh man! Repeat the question to me one more time if you can. About the podcast. About the podcast. I got you. Yeah, we go sidetrack. No, I got you. The podcast.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. This is so good. This is what makes this podcast so golden, is that it is raw, bro.
I need some more sangria.
We don't.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I took a shot when I was in there.
I'll be right back, guys.
Baby girl's like, you want a shot, babe? You want a shot?
Put this
That's really what happened,
bro. Put this snippet on the IG page, bro. Repeat the question.
So the podcast. So there you go. So do you think? Poppy. Good night, buddy.
You want to say? You want to say hi to everybody? Say no. You shy.
He's ready for bed.
I thought he was been asleep, bro. Like, I guess he wanted to come say goodnight. I love you, buddy.
I'm like, what's midnight, man?
Like, it's like 11. Man, he ain't got no school. What he?
Yeah, he ain't gonna do. He's chilling. He's just being a boy, having fun.
Yeah, he is. Now he's showing off. He's
doing my watch broke last episode, y'all. So I'm good.
Yeah, I seen him kind of look at it. Okay.
Bro, I'm so lost.
Got one of them eyepieces that digitizes the time or something.
I'm so lost without my watch.
Tell us about the podcast, right? Like, how you came up with the name. So tell us about all that.
Yeah. So the podcast. So basically, that was going to be the name of the show. But at the time, producing the actual show was just not realistic. Again, going back to what I said about short films and not having the resources, I don't like really committing to things like that. I like having what I know I should have, and I'd rather do it that way because that's just me. Not to say that I don't create just to create. I create with minimal as well. But there's just certain things to me that are my babies. Like my feature film idea, which is excellent. Right, and now this show. So I was like, you know what? Let me do a test run. Let me try it as a podcast first, see how people respond. And the whole premise of the show is tapping in with literally industry filmmakers that people don't have everyday access to, but I do because they're friends of mine or because I've worked with them or whatever. Something happened along my career at some point that I was able to relate and connect with these people. And then some of the other people that I want to feature are just sent through homies, that are in the industry as well. They're like, yo, you know what? I got this director. He's like even bigger than me. Like, maybe let me talk to him and maybe we can get him on the show. So that's
Yeah.
how the whole inspiration started, because I knew that my story was impactful, and I kind of just got curious to see what other people were doing and how they got to their start. You know, it just kind of like naturally just happened where I was just like, you know what, I want to highlight filmmakers. So the highlighting came with questions. How do I highlight them? You know, I got to
Yeah.
ask them the questions. I got to get into their life, into their mind. What you guys are doing to me today, asking me certain questions, getting into here. People are going to get to hear these things about me that they don't know already, or that they haven't had a chance, because people just don't touch on those subjects sometimes.
Right.
That's basically what you guys are doing here is what I'm doing with
film.
Films Wanted, and now with quarantine happening, and it kind of, what you would think would slow it down, it actually made this an even sweeter deal for me, because I actually stopped producing the podcast for a while due to scheduling. I was trying to get really big people on the show that they're available to me, but it was just unrealistic. Like sometimes they'd be like out of nowhere, yo, I'm here from Cali for a couple of days. What can we, I'm like, damn, I'm shooting right now. Like I just can't get up and leave and go shoot this podcast, because the podcast is not generating any money. It was just something I'm doing. So I'm like, I'm gonna leave this big ass job I'm at to go film you. That kept happening a lot. Or, I'd be in an edit session, or I'd just be doing something that I knew I had to prioritize for myself and my family, which is securing finances, of course.
Right.
And not that I don't believe in the show. I clearly do, because I'm continuing it now. So with the quarantine, what I'm basically doing is I'm going to use the platform like Skype or Zoom. And once I release these episodes that I've already shot this past few months, I'm going to do what you guys are doing now via chat with other filmmakers, the same people I wanted to reach that were too busy or we couldn't get the schedule down, finally get them on. And
everybody's sitting around now.
Yeah, there's nothing they can really say now, no excuses. So basically get them on the show and let them tell their story, man. I want people to be enamored with everything that's going on, and like the reality of our lives. And like, to me, this is a real life, bro. Like I go through mad shit just like the rest of us. Like I'm, no matter how big the projects get, I go through life, period. I have family, I got a wife I got to deal with, I got bills I got to deal with, I got kids I got to deal with, I got people don't realize teaching a kid how to do shit and training them up to be a good person is a lot of work, bro. It's very strenuous. And really question your what do you call it? Insanity, I guess. I don't know.
It just takes a lot, dog.
Sometimes you question whether or not you doing the right thing, and you're like, man, I'm a screw up, man, because I did this, or I just told my wife last night, like, because the last 2 days and again, I don't mind saying this because it means I'm aware. But like I told my wife, the last 2 days, I was like, man, I've been a little harsh to Dom. Like I've been like I've been screaming a lot more. I've been raising my voice. Like I told her last night, I was like, babe, I want to be more gracious with the Dom. And she was like, what does that look like? I was like, I don't know what it looks like. I just want to, and I need you to hold me accountable. And so and so this morning I wake up, I come to the computer, Dom and her in the kitchen with the baby. She's cooking breakfast, and she just says, all right, babe, let's not forget to establish a new baseline. And I knew what that meant. That meant, okay, throughout the day, I'm going to stay right here. So if I get here, it catches his attention, as opposed to being up here. So I got to yell to get his attention. And you know what I'm saying? And those small things that you don't realize are massive for a child, for a 5-year-old, right? Like, and so I second guess myself as a father every single day because I want to be the best father that I can, bro. Like I want to give him not everything that I've never had, but show him more. Like I want to show him. And bro, it's so tough, man. It's so difficult. And in the moment, I always feel like I'm failing. But when I look back or when I see, I always get like these little gems, like from God, where like He does something, and I'm like, okay, okay, we doing something. We doing something. We doing something. Like, because at the end of the day, bro, like if I didn't have a family, bro, I would be somewhere in Europe or New York right now, and I guarantee you, I would have been an indie filmmaker, and I probably would have won like Cannes Film Festival. Like I would have hustled, but I can't run as fast as I want to because I have children. And honestly speaking, like I know there's like this, like I'm one of the like, look, man, I'm just gonna say this controversial, but there's some parents who really believe like it's not all like it's not always about the children, it's about your sanity, and I get that. But when I set out to be a father, and when I knew that I was going to be a father, what I needed became second. Unless it's my sanity, what I needed became second, because everything is like, they didn't ask to be here. Everything from now until when they're cognizant enough to make decisions is about them. And so like my film path. Like, all right, like if I got like whatever, it is what it is. Like I got people who are like, bro, you went to AI, you were doing this, you were doing that, you got this, and that. What are you doing now? I'm like, well, you know, I teach
Dad
science. I teach science. I also teach film and drama at this private school, but you know, and I've done, you know, some Super Bowl jobs here. I've done, you know, some things here. Like one, I worked with Joe Mercer, Marley, like that new video that's out, that's blasted on Bob Marley's page. Like it's small little nuggets like that. I'm like, all right, but when it's all said and done, like having the family has really stripped all the pretentiousness of it and really showed me what I wanted. And again, back to the point earlier, like I just want to be an independent filmmaker, bro. Like that's all I want to do. Like I want to make a raw film, push it at a local film festival, like destroy everybody at that film festival, and then go to the next film festival with that same film and continue to do that to the point where I'm like Tarantino, yo, who is this guy in the film festival making buzz?
Yeah, it just gets
like who is this
That's
dude?
how I feel too.
Yeah, like I want to take that, like, because when it's all said and done, like I don't need a major studio to make a film. Like I know I'm confident in what I can produce, and you've seen what I can produce with nothing.
Yeah,
so
sure.
and so like I want to continue to do that, and when it's all said and done, like I'm not gonna stop. I got films, like I'm ready to go. It's just that unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I have a family, and so I have to go through that filter.
It prolongs the process.
It prolongs the process, but I'll tell you what, man, I don't think it prolongs the process. Like earlier to what your point, what you said, like had my ego been up here, I would view it as prolonging the process. But now I'm like, it's refining my process. It's filtering my process. You know what I'm saying? Like there are things that I do with him, or that I realize that, man, like months and a year earlier, that I'm like, man, why can't I? And then months later, I look and I'm doing something that I want to do through the filter of having waited, and then the experience that I had with my child and my family. Like I'm like, this makes sense now why it's happening. Oh, and then that one little thing that I was learning here at home while, you know, like I was being like, damn, why can't I be on set? But I'm home. But that like those small nuggets are like being applicable, and it's hard to explain, but like, bro, it's I can never look back and say to myself, I regret, or I'm feeling regretful, even though in the moment I'm always looking for more. Like, why can't I be over there? Anytime I get to where I want to go next, I'm like, oh, okay. It was with good reason that I didn't go that way. Because sometimes what I want is not good for me. So I got to take the other route. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes what I want can be very detrimental to me. Because, you know, as humans, we're very much self-destructive people. At least I can be very self-destructive. Like, and even at AI, I had to battle that, bro. I don't know if you know that, Sierra, but like I battled self-destructing tendencies at AI all the time. Like wanted to like feeling like, you know what, man, this project is gonna bomb. I shouldn't, you know, whatever. And then ends up, you know, winning. You know, like I always felt like I was always like, I'm not good enough. Like I never, and I don't know if people ever knew that about me at AI, because I portray a level of confidence. But when I walked around there, bro, like I was like, man, like I'm not good enough. Like I gotta push harder. Like, and I guess that comes with, you know, like a public speaker who's been speaking a million times but still gets butterflies before going on stage, which would symbolize that he still respects the craft.
Listen,
right? Like
I still have projects I haven't dropped for that same reason, bro. I still have projects that I'm literally, that I know they're great. They're industry standards, shot on Ari, that I just don't want to put out because I'm like, no, something went wrong, or somebody, the colorist that I hired, or something happened along the way that I'm just kind of like
second guessing ourselves.
I second guess it a lot, bro. A lot of my work. I don't want to show. I just show it because I'm like, I got to keep up with the times. But really, like, I look at that IG post for a long minute. Like, do I really want to post this?
Really want to put that out?
The frame, the editor didn't cut the framing the right way, because a lot of these projects too that I post, sometimes I'm just the DP or the cam op. I don't ever see it. I don't ever see it, but I just know what I shot. So these projects come out, and I'm like, they're all blasting it on their social media, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, why
did they pick that shot
it like this?
Right.
Or why did they select this part of the shot where I'm obviously out of frame setting up, or something, like just stupid shit.
For those who don't know what DP means, it means director of photography. It is the film word for cinematographer, or the person who handles, well, not the person who handles the camera, because that's a camera operator.
That's a camera operator.
Photography, the director of photography is responsible for framing the shot, lighting the shot, painting the set, making sure the shot is how the director sees it. So he says, I envision it this way. Okay, let me and there's the reason why these people like Roger Deakins gets paid guap, because he knows how to work with directors
man. He knows how to put it together.
Oh, bro. Do you have a favorite director or DP?
Yo, I think it's gonna sound cheesy, man. Favorite director, though, I don't know why, man. I mean, beyond Quentin Tarantino, obviously, that's just an obvious answer for most people. But I don't know why, man. I really have fallen in love with Ben Affleck's work, man.
Really?
I know
Okay,
sounds
that's not
kind of
bad because
weird.
no, that's not cheesy. I think a lot of people who don't know
he does some good stuff.
Ben Affleck,
He does
but Ben
great
Affleck's
stuff.
a phenomenal
I think
writer.
he's done some great stuff.
And
I'm not into film, dog. I've seen some of his previews.
Cool.
I've seen some of his work, and I'm like,
hear it a lot.
yeah.
No, well,
I mean, because
the average
it's like he's undercover, dog. They don't know that he does that stuff. They don't know that it's his work.
It's like for him to direct and star in Fargo.
Gone Girl.
Yo, it's crazy.
What's the other one?
It's just crazy, bro. I couldn't even be able to tell you all the names. I just know his shit every time I see it. I'm like,
what's the one that everybody talks about that him and Matt Damon did? Good Will Hunting. Like,
oh my god,
that
great movie.
fire.
Great movie. Great movie.
But here's the thing: most people say Ben Affleck, and the majority of the lay audiences who don't know film are like, "Oh, you mean Daredevil?" I'm like, yo, relax. This dude understands film. This dude understands film. This is an Oscar winning writer director. Like, don't sleep. Like, yeah. No, that's.
I don't know why. I just always like his shit. And I just love that he acts in it, because I already told myself one day, like, when I get to that level, I'm for sure acting in my films. So
for sure, bro. For sure.
Of course, you calling shots. I don't see why not.
No, because sometimes you know how to bring a certain character to life that somebody else couldn't bring because you wrote the character.
It's just a flex.
Yeah,
it's just do what Quentin Tarantino does. It's what Tarantino does. He just flexes, bro. He acts really great. No, if he wanted to, but a lot of the times too, he's a very low key character. So it's just more like he's just in it. It's just like, oh shit, like something to look back on and be like,
Tarantino is in a lot of his stuff, man. Tarantino is and I thought he was an actor first. So when they were like, oh, that's the director, when I learned that was the director, I was like, this
really,
yeah. My favorite director, everybody knows, is Christopher Nolan, bro. Like, that's just hands down one of the greatest directors of all time.
I also like the guy that did Sin City.
Robert
Spanish guy.
Robert Rodriguez.
I think so.
Is that who? Is it Robert Rodriguez?
He's great because I know he directs and he also edits, and he also DPs a lot of his stuff too, which is great. He does a little bit of what we do now as modern day filmmakers, which is everything. So it's great.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez, who's a contemporary of Quentin Tarantino, who also shot that vampire movie that Quentin Tarantino sucked on Salma Hayek's toes.
Dude, they've done crazy movies.
Yeah.
Crazy movies.
Yeah. And he was Robert. Is it? Okay, I was thinking about somebody else. Never mind. But yeah, Robert Rodriguez. I know. Yeah, I was thinking about the other guy who played the Jew Bear in Inglourious Bastards. That's also one of Tarantino's friends, who's a director. What's his name?
I didn't know that. I don't think I knew that.
I'll tell you now.
That's pretty cool. This guy's cheesing up over there. He's like, that's
I'm chilling, man.
Yeah. Okay, so for the IMDb Inglourious Bastards, I'll tell you right now. The guy who played Jew Bear, the one who was like the one who beat the dude with the bat. His name is where's that? Full cast. Let's go to full cast. Got to fact check because Eli Roth. Eli
Roth,
who is known for movies. His filmography is Afterlife. He was a co-producer on Baywatch. I didn't know that. Cabin Fever. He did that movie.
Oh, Cabin Fever is cool.
He did that. I think he did. Oh, The Green Inferno. He was a producer, and that movie Green Inferno is the one where like the group of kids went to like on a field trip and they were stuck with an indigenous tribe and they were like being killed left and right. Like he's known for doing those kind of like creepy movies. But those three, that makes sense. Quentin Tarantino, Eli Roth, and Robert Rodriguez are known for doing those dark, heavy movies.
Yeah, man, they really. I mean, Sin City was a game changer, bro.
Yes,
not to get too much into the film talk because I know we're pressing. So I got to dip soon, but I know that for a fact. Like that movie, when I saw it, from the colors to just style of shooting, I was just like, there was nothing like it. I mean, I don't think there still till this day has been anything like it. And I'm also very inspired by movies like I grew up a lot being highly inspired by BET films. I just think that like in my house, like at the time, like anybody else, we just had regular cable and shit, you know?
Right.
So I just spent a lot of time. My mom was super big on BET films. She just loved all the chick flicks and all the
oh my God,
the movies where like two can play that game and stuff.
Oh, they drove me nuts, Todd. They drove me nuts.
So when I grew up watching that, bro, I was like it definitely set a tone for my love of movies. To be real, I love a lot of cheesy movies. I'm not that guy that's gonna be like, yo, I really loved Star Wars or I love Harry Potter, which is I don't know if that's bad to say, but to the film people, like at AI, when I would say stuff like that, people would be like,
nah, but listen, I hear you, dog, because in the film world, there's this pretentious nature. This is gonna be a big I still haven't seen Citizen Kane and a lot of these other, like Casablanca, a lot of these movies that people are like, you as a filmmaker, you need to have what? Like, I just know what I love. Like, I remember.
You know what you like, yeah.
Yeah, I know what I like and I know what shaped me, and I can go back now appreciating film and then watch those films and say, oh, that's fire, right? Like, I do like Star Wars, but that's because my stepbrother. I didn't grow up in a household that knew that stuff. My stepbrother from that household put me on the game. But like my favorite movie growing up to this day was still the original Ninja Turtles. I watched that movie on repeat.
That was a good movie.
One summer over and over and over. Like I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first movie I think the first movie I saw in theaters was the animated Lion King. Like this is my childhood, right? Like I'm an 80s, 90s baby. So like these are the movies I saw, and I can only tell you what inspired me. So using that, like, is there a movie for you that was like that like put the put the plant inside you for the love
Aladdin.
of films? Aladdin?
Yeah. Oh, dude, Aladdin was great.
Even till this day, actually, when it sounds crazy, but when I found out they were finally coming out with a new one, like my wife low key caught me crying happy tears.
Yes. She's like, hold on, babe.
It sounds crazy. But I was like, yo, she was like, dude, are you crying? I'm like, yo, Aladdin, like, wow. Like, they're coming out with another one. Like, I just couldn't believe it because for me, like, there were a lot of bad times in my childhood, too. And Aladdin was the movie my parents would put for me when they was fighting, or some crazy shit was going on, or if I was alone. And it was just, a lot of times, it was the Lion King, Aladdin, Lion King, Aladdin, Lion King, Aladdin.
Did it
straight up in love with Aladdin
to you?
Huh?
Did the new movie live up to your expectations?
To me,
because growing up, Beauty and the Beast to me was dope, because I'll never forget, my mom and dad were separated, and my mom put on Beauty and the Beast one Christmas. I was like 3 or 4, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to see the Beast. I can't wait to see the Beast, right? And I never saw the Beast because my dad finally came and picked me up to go spend Christmas weekend with him. So I couldn't see the Beast. So I couldn't. So like I remember watching that movie. Belle was one of my first childhood crushes. I don't care. And right, like, you know, and then and Esmeralda from Hunchback of Notre Dame, but Belle first. And I remember watching Beauty and the Beast, and that was one of my favorite films growing up. Obviously, I love Lion King and all these things. But so when when Beauty and the Beast was made into a live action, like, you chills and goosebumps, I was like, now, I don't know if it was because me and my wife did a double header that day. We went and saw Logan, and then from Logan, Beauty and the Beast. I don't know if that was what it was, idea. But probably. But having watched Logan first and then Beauty and the Beast, I was like, okay, yeah, like, okay. And I think it's also because so phenomenal movie. But I think here's what it is: Beauty and the Beast didn't live up to the hype for me, and it wasn't because nobody delivered. I think the CGI was a little wonky, but I think everybody outsang the main character. Like, she sang, but everybody else outsang her, and you can't outsing Belle. Like, that movie is about Belle. So that it didn't live up to the hype. But Aladdin was dope. I was not ready for that movie. I'm Will Smith out. Like, but that movie was so good. So good.
Costume design, like,
fire,
props, coordination, like, you know what it took to make that movie fucking happen, bro. It's like they literally took a CGI kind of world. I mean, they still did CGI, obviously, but it's like it felt so real, bro.
Yeah, it
But
did.
it
Look at who you're
also gave
talking
that
about.
little bit of effect, you know?
Guy
Yeah.
Ritchie, bro. Like Guy Ritchie was all over that, bro. Like Guy Ritchie put his touch on that, dude. Like
It's
for those
sick.
who don't know, Guy Ritchie is known for making movies like Snatch, the new King Arthur movie. He has like a style of movies. I think that was who Guy Ritchie, the guy who used to be married to Madonna. Anyways, man. So yeah, fun fact. Now that y'all
Fun
can't know
fact.
that.
Right.
I was
Hurt to
watching
know.
Space Jam the other day, and Charles.
I finished it. Great.
I'll never date
Madonna again. Freaking Charles.
Look closely at that scene when that scene first starts with him in the confessing. He looks directly into the camera, bro.
No
Oh,
way.
they did it a few. They did it a few times in that
Yeah.
movie, bro. They were terrible in that movie, dog.
Yeah, Muggsy
I
I
Bogues
think
was
there was
all-
a couple times I was like, "Did that Joker just look at the camera?" Oh no. Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Catch them NBA players, dog.
Yeah,
So,
We'll see if LeBron can carry the legacy of that movie moving forward.
I'm
I
nervous.
think so.
LeBron is dope. He's a good actor. I've seen him and stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
nervous just because it's like Space Jam was my everyday movie, man. That's us.
I'm
Like,
tired of that movie. Dom has put that movie in 3 or 4 times, and I'm just like, all right.
No, yeah,
No,
that
I'm
movie.
done.
We've all played that movie out for sure.
yeah,
I'm
man.
done.
That's good.
Man, this has been a solid, a really dope, informative, real vulnerable podcast, man. And I feel like we can spend, obviously, if we weren't tired, another hour and
You
some
ain't
change,
lying.
like really going
For
deep,
sure.
man. And which only means that we got to get you back on, bro. We got to get
Big
you
time.
back on.
I got more questions, bro.
Yeah, so
Appreciate
many
that.
more questions, bro. And so I think it's been good. I hope you guys have enjoyed it watching. Before we close out, Andrew, where can the people find you, bro?
Yo, facts. Instagram's usually the best, which would be at Lord LORDX Cinema CINEMA. And yeah, man, that's really the best one, man. Tap in on the IG. I'm always on. You can find me on Twitter at the same Lord Cinema, LORDXCINEMA on Twitter, and YouTube. You can just type in my name, which is Andrew Sierra, and you'll find me wearing a helmet with a camera connected to it,
which
as
was
a character.
Which was a dope portfolio
Nice.
piece, which most people
Nice.
don't know about.
Bro.
We're gonna put all the links after this. I'll have you send all the links, and I'll put them. We're gonna put it in the bottom. Now, I've always wanted to ask you, but now that we have you here, I can ask you simultaneously with the people. Where did you come up with that name for your IG handle, bro?
For honestly, I don't know. It just happened. I think one day I was messing around, like, cause I freestyle a lot. I rap like on my free time, like just for fun, like as a hobby. Yeah, and I think
Been a
like
long time.
I was considering like a rap name, like, oh, you know, what kind of cool names.
Right.
And
Ace Boogie with the hoodie.
yeah, I think like at the time I was rapping, I had said like, oh, I'm God Cinema. And I was like, oh, that'll be hard, and I'll put GAWD instead of GOD, and I was like, I'll be God Cinema.
Yeah.
And then I called my boy up, and I was like, yo, I just thought of the craziest. This was years ago, you know what I'm saying? Years, like 6 years ago, right? 7 years ago. And I'm like, yo, what do you think of God Cinema? He was like, yo, I mean, this shit's cool. He's like, you might as well just like Lord Cinema sounds better though. And I was like, Lord Cinema, yo,
yeah.
Looked up the IG handle, and I was like, yo, let me make it Lord Cinema all together just look cheesy. So I was like, I added the X in the middle to make it like separate.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, and then that was it, man. And just ran off with it.
Fire.
Yeah.
That's
just off the freestyle vibes. Thank you, rap music.
Let's go, baby.
Right. We gotta do a freestyle session because I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a spoken word poet. I've been doing music for I'm a writer. I'm a storyteller, bro. So
after that, we play the beat. Get on it.
Hey, let's
get it, bro.
So on IG, it's Andrew Sierra.
No, IG LORDXCINEMA, and then YouTube is Andrew Sierra.
My bad. YouTube Andrew Sierra. Word. Okay. Nice, man. Matt, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Bearded Black Dad. Bearded Black Dad on IG.
Word. You can find me at GEEOH8GO8. Go to infinity and beyond. For those who always wonder what that means, it's not as cool as Lord Cinema, but it's very trivial.
Hey, that has meaning though, yeah.
Always. You could also find us at Dads of the Dale on IG. You can find us at Dale, first name, last name, Dads on Facebook. Dads of the Dale at gmail.com. And now You can find us at Dads
On
of the Dale
YouTube.
on YouTube, baby. For those listening to the podcast right now, this is YouTube. And for our second official YouTube video, we brought in Lord X Cinema, my boy Sierra. Bro, it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for reaching out to me this morning. That was one of the first things I saw. I've been sleeping in, so I appreciate you reaching out and being like, yo, I want to jump on this, because honestly, I want to invite as many people on, but sometimes I'll be thinking people don't care. So it's I'm really glad that you wanted to jump on, man, and share your story. And I think there's so much more that people want to hear of yours, or from your story. So we'll definitely have you back. We're gonna have you back, bro.
Most appreciate. You guys keep pushing the envelope, man. Keep coming up with stuff,
man.
you know.
You already know, man. We're trying, bro. And if you have ideas for how you think we should build this YouTube channel, bro, let us know. But other than that, man, for those who want to know, for those who already know, it's your boy Gio.
And it's your boy Matt. And
with our boy Sierra. Sorry, I killed the vibe, bro. I killed the vibe. I was trying to plug.
I was like, do I jump in or not?
Okay, Sierra, lead us off.
This your boy Andrew.
It's your boy Matt.
And it's your boy Gio. And we
the dads of the day.